Gold and Black Live, segment 3. I don't know. I'm getting sentimental because we're coming to the end of another year. But I'll get over it. So, and I know Stacy will, and I know the coach could. Well, he would never say that he's counting the minutes till he's done. He does not looking at his watch. We just have one more segment to go. And Stacy, I'll let you fire the first salvo. What kind of questions you want to ask? And we do want to get into the cancer challenge thing too. By the way,
That was lead off.
Okay, good. All you then.
You know more about it.
All right, I'll lead off then. Cancer Challenge, the Purdue Center for Cancer Research, and this will be your 3rd year of being involved. In the race, 5K race on April 18th, the morning of the spring game, 8:30 at Ross-Ade Stadium. But this event is really a lot more than that.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
and we've had over the years anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 runners. We want to get as many as possible, and you've played such an important role with that of just being out there, being front and center about it. It means something to you, though, personally.
You know, you say the same thing every year, but it's really true that it's touched so many of our lives. And for us to be able to make an impact is pretty significant. And I think it's very important that we get as many people out to the race on the 18th as we can. We don't know when the difference is going to be made.
Yeah.
But it could be that next guy, we don't know that, but we have to be a part of that for anything to ever happen.
I was at an event last night with Dr. Philip Lau, who's part of it. I think you've met, an amazing person at the Center for Cancer Research, and a guy that's right on this campus doing this phenomenal research. It's going to basically allow for cancer cells to show up when they have surgery. But that's the thing, I think, the thing that you mentioned, that you don't know when it's going to happen. But you also, as humans, we don't know when this is going to strike us, because it really impacts everybody. That's the thing.
It really does. I mean, just from kids, and I had a chance to stop in at St. Jude's on one of my last visits down to Tennessee, and just to see the kids down at St. Jude's and what the wonderful people down at that place are doing. But we have to do something right here in our own community to make sure that we're making an impact on this terrible disease.
And we're going to have some special events for cancer survivors, those that participate in the race. And it really is an emotional thing, because people have wear their tags or who they're walking or running for. But the cancer survivors we're putting the plan together to have them really kind of intimately involved with the spring game. Give us the nuts and bolts on that.
Yeah, I thought it would be a great idea for this year to have the cancer survivors come into the locker room. We're going to split them up into half, and one side's going to take the field with the home team, the other side's going to take the field with the visiting team, and then we're going to lock arms at midfield in the end zone, and we're going to take the field together. It's a way of us all bonding together to defeat this disease.
All right, April 18th, Ross-Ade Stadium, 8:30. It's part of the fun of the event. And obviously football is a huge part of this. It's really a great event too, because you have swim team out there, you have volleyball, you have women's basketball, men's basketball. It's kind of Purdue Athletic Department celebration of something that's really important. I think it's made it a big event.
It's really a big event, so we need everybody there.
You bet. All right, we'll be hearing a lot more about that here in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
One of the reasons I'm sure it matters to you is because your dad, Daniel, died of cancer in the 90s. Can you tell us a little bit about your dad?
Yeah, he was a good man. I'm one of 7. I'm the last of 7 children, and he went to work every day, worked hard. And one of the big things about my dad, and I don't know if there was any correlation, but he had prostate cancer. But he was one of those first pioneers to ride bicycles, with the tights on and the glasses and all, back in the 70s when it was unheard of.
Yeah.
And used to ride from our house in South Jersey down to Cape May, which is 200 miles. And he rode the bike all over the country. And, he ended up with prostate cancer. And some say it was a correlation, some say I don't know if it was or not, but just a neat individual.
You were able to see your mom recently too, right?
I was. Mom turned 85. A week ago, and we were able to surprise her, brought the whole family out, and we came from all over the country, and it was a big time surprise for her, which was neat.
I had read something in a story, and I'm assuming that it's correct, but you will correct me if it's not, that you had seen, I don't know how old you were, had seen a W-2 like on her table or whatever that said like $7,800, and you had just mentioned there were a lot of kids in that household. I mean, just the kind of woman that she was, just being able to support that family. I mean, she sounds like a special lady.
You know, you grow up and you live your daily life as a kid, and you worry about the things that you look
Right.
back and say, what are you worrying about that for?
Yeah.
But, you know, I walked into my living room, which was our dining room at the time, and the same thing, same room, and you know, on the table was a W-2 form. I never looked at the W-2 forms before, and there it was. And there, I'm thinking to myself, that was the first time it really hit me that, you know, this is what this woman's doing for her 7 children on this amount of money.
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy to think about.
Because she was a Head Start driver.
School bus driver for 43 years and made a huge impact on the lives of 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. And she was one of those people that, you know, it didn't matter. She went to work every day, never took off. And she was the lady that dressed up as Santa Claus at Christmas and the Easter Bunny at Easter time and the witch at, you know, all those things. And just trying to make a positive impact on some of those kids' lives. That was neat. Learned a lot from her.
Yeah, she and I've had a couple chances to talk to her on the phone because she's a subscriber to the magazine. But she's one of those people that energizes you just by talking to her.
Did you send it to her for free?
Yeah.
You at least had to send it to her for free.
What?
Did you send it to her?
I did.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I
didn't think
did.
you'd make her pay for it.
No, I said, but now there's a limit. Since you have 6 brothers and sisters, that we, you know, the Hazel, we can only do so much.
I
here.
understand.
But, no, and I did not. I did not make her pay for it. But we have to be careful about that. Not because there's no recruiting violations that have to come in with moms of coaches, but occasionally we'll get some recruits that want to have pictures and stuff. And we do have to charge. I never really have a hard time charging people though. It's a profit game, as they say. But no, you learn things going in, and you're you know, into what makes you the way that you are. I mean, you have mentors, you have parents, and I always say that parenting, it's a little bit of a coin toss between parental influence or peer influence, you know, whether it's 50-50 on that. For you, making Darrell Hazell the way Darrell Hazell is now,
Probably 80-20, if I had to say mom to peers.
Yeah.
For my development, if I had to guess. Now, I've been around some great people, coaches, and people that weren't coaches, and that really did influence me. But I would think the foundation of who you are, for me at least, came from home.
Yeah.
I read she said, let your work do your talking and not your words. I don't believe that at all about you.
You don't?
Just kidding.
No, that's a true statement, Mom. That's absolutely is. If and we should have called her before this because she could have tuned in live.
We should have had her call. I thought about this.
Yeah,
You're
we
lucky
did.
because I was like, we should do a special call-in show where,
She could call
you
in.
know, everybody from Muskingum would call and just give their favorite Darrell Hazell story.
Yeah.
You would have not showed up if you.
Yeah, or at least this would have been his last show. So you had a week out there, and that has to be. Was she really surprised?
Very surprised.
Yeah.
Very surprised. And, you know, we sent my son in first into the room. She was we had it at a diner, and we sent my son in first, and she's like, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
And then we walk in, and so it was neat.
She was emotional, or is she?
No, she's not too emotional, which is probably been pretty good because a lot of people in the community lean on her, and she's pretty stable. She doesn't go like this, which is pretty neat to watch.
She coming to a game next year? Do you know?
Oh, she'll be out to at least 1, maybe 2 games next year. Yeah.
Yeah. When's the first trip to Rutgers? Not for 17?
Ooh, I don't even know.
1 year at a time, 1 game at a time. Marshall is coming up on. So you have an interesting schedule this year, and I know we'll get to a lot of other questions, but. Phil Steele or somebody ranked it the 6th toughest schedule. I know you probably don't spend a lot of time worrying about that, but you know, you start at Marshall and a program that has had a history of being very good. They obviously were very good last year. There's going to be some transition, obviously, but that's a tough place to open up. And they always look at a Big Ten school coming to a place like Marshall is a big deal.
Oh yeah, it's a big game for us, and they have done an excellent job with their program here in the last few years. Won a lot of football games, and we got to be on our best behavior when we get to Marshall that Sunday. It's going to be fun. We're going to be a lot better than what we were last year, and I know it's going to be a good game for our football team.
Starting on a Sunday, which will get your practice schedule a little, because you come back the following week. But I guess it gives you one more day to prepare, one less day to prepare for the next week. But that's how they play it. So
Yeah, I think we're going to be the only game on television that Sunday, which
that's
is
an advantage.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So I might as well ask you in advance what uniforms you're going to wear for that game. You have gray ones this year. You've already said that. It's okay.
Okay. I'm not sure what uniforms we'll be wearing for the Marshall game.
You will be wearing uniforms, so we know that much. Well, you can wear, I mean, if it's 89 degrees or 96 degrees, you can choose to wear those whites, which would be a nice thing from that standpoint. But did you think growing up, though, that, and you had dreams as a young person about playing, and obviously you played at a high level, but all this uniform stuff, and it isn't obviously it is a thing where it's critical to kids today. I think people that are close to our age we always dreamed about having all these kind of things and uniforms and different looks and all that kind of thing. Were you that type of person, or are you just how do you view it?
Never thought about it as a kid, but the world has changed so much, even in the last 5 or 6 years, in terms of what's in vogue and what gets 18-year-olds excited. Not only 18-year-olds, but our own players excited. And when we introduced one of those helmets, the room erupted.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it's crazy to think that that's the direction that we're going, but you better change with the process, otherwise you'll be left behind. And you still keep your traditions, that's the most important thing, but you got to be able to make some adjustments and some other things as well.
I mean, you got a lot of mileage, I thought, out of the hammer down cancer. I mean, that was the helmet there for the Michigan State game, and the uniform look was really turned out to be really had more. It almost grew, and from a positive standpoint, even after the fact, people saw it and got used to it, and then they, I think, really liked it.
I think they appreciated it.
Yeah.
I really do. I think they appreciated it, and it was, to me, I thought it was classy. That was my opinion, but I thought it was a pretty classy uniform. But if you had any tie to that color, that green lime color, I think that you had an appreciation for what our guys wore.
Yeah.
What are you doing this year for helmets?
Surprise. We're wearing them.
Okay.
That's good. All that concussion talk now, you'd just be at the forefront of that.
Yeah. You're going to teach them how to tackle differently, so they have to need
So,
helmets.
when you play at home this year, I'm assuming Ross-Ade will still be grass. What do you hope it is going forward?
Oh, we're always evaluating what we have and the direction that we should be going, but we'll see in the future what this future brings for us.
Would you prefer field turf?
We'll see what the future brings for us.
I'm trying to think of another way I can rephrase that, but I'm out.
Can't do it. So, and you look at the one of the things that you're trying to drive, obviously, with the ticket prices going down and getting fans in the stands. I mean, there isn't any question that that's the one of the in any program you want to have a following. Is it as simple as winning football games? How do you view that from a part of you? Head coaches, they have to be marketers as well, and it's a big part of what you do.
Right. I think, obviously that's the number one component, number one factor to getting people in the stands consistently. Now, you're dealing with a lot of different things than you dealt with 5-10 years ago with the multiple TVs and the warm places and all those things. But if you start to win, you'll get your fans back.
Yeah. Do you sense on the road, even with, and I know you've been very active in trying to get to on campus. This is a student body that has at times been tends to be a supportive student body, but again, getting that group. 18-year-olds today are different than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Back into that tradition of being in Ross-Ade. That's a challenge.
Well, I want them to come and experience what the college environment should be like. Not only at our place, but all over the place. I would hope that people would jump in their cars and come support us on the road. Obviously, we have to start here first, but I mean, it could be so much fun grabbing your dorm or grabbing your fraternity or sorority house and blocking off that 3-hour period on Saturday and coming to have a blast in the stadium and make it a party in the stadium and support your team. And you go on the road and you see all these fans having a great time, and that's the way that we have to get back to. And again, it starts with in-house with us winning football games and putting a great product out there. But I want the fans to come out and experience what it feels like to have that energy and that fun and the singing and the cheers and the alma mater, all those things that make college football fun.
Yeah.
You've been a head coach for, this is your 5th year then, going into your 5th year? Am I making that up?
No, that's right.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you miss, and this could be a dumb question, but I'm going out there. Do you miss being an assistant? Do you get to coach more as an assistant, and you feel like you mold guys more because you're working with the specific? Do you understand what I mean? Because you're working with guys each day. Like, you get those receivers, and you can see them go from here to here because you're really part of that process, and now maybe you're overseeing it. Or how do you view, I guess?
Well, there's certainly a major difference being running a position room than running the whole program.
Right.
There's always times that you miss the X's and O's part of it because you're distracted for another different reason. But
Right.
I wouldn't trade this position for anything. Tressel told me one thing one time, and I didn't understand it at the time. But he said to me, "You can't put a value on setting the schedule." And I know exactly what he meant by when he said that now. I mean, from the littlest of things to the biggest of things, you cannot put a value on being able to say where you need to be when you need to be there.
Yeah, and being able to set the tone from that standpoint. Obviously, spring game historically has been a time too to get former players back. I assume there are some activities that are going on. We had a question about that. You've got some pretty engaged groups, pockets of guys over the years. It's really been a big focus of going back to Joe Tiller of getting guys back. What's going on for you?
Oh, there's a lot going on that weekend. I mean, we have our coaches clinic that goes Friday and Saturday, where there's going to be a lot of coaches from the Indianapolis area and Chicago and all those other places. So that's going on. Then we have a bunch of alumni functions going on. We have Hall of Fame coming in up that weekend.
That's right.
But the special thing that we have is we have our den of ends coming back. The great defensive ends that played here at Purdue, they're all coming back that weekend. We're going to honor those guys, and we have a couple special things for those guys. I've been able to get on the phone with those guys, and they're excited to get back. And that's the one thing that I find that, you talk to all the elite players, not even the elite, but just all the players that have played Purdue. They're really fired up about the direction of the program and the things that we're doing and the changes that we're making, and they realize that, it takes a second or two to make the changes that you need to have made, but they're really fired up about what's going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend. April 18th, spring game. Jersey scrimmage, April the 11th, and open to the public.
It is open,
and so and then you have a kick scrimmage tomorrow, which is not open to the public.
No,
it is open to the public.
Open,
That's right.
sorry.
That is
It is
correct.
open to the
So,
public.
and it's going to be a balmy 75 degrees out there tomorrow. It'll be perfect. So, Coach, thank you so much for your time. We really enjoyed it, and we appreciate you spending an hour. And Stacy, we probably left you with a couple questions in the bag. Anything that you didn't get to that you? Okay. You don't have any choice but to say that it's time to go. So,
you're right.
all right. I want to thank all the people for our show this year. All the people that put a lot of effort in, from Gordon Jackson and Kim Caldwell, Chris Collar, all the folks at WLFI for all the things they've done. State Farm agent Trent Johnson and Triple X, Greg and Carrie Ayersman have been great to us over the years, and Christy Kuntz at Hilton Garden Inn, and the legendary John Basham at Basham Rental too. He has been our sponsors over the years. We've been very appreciative of that. We are going to have our next show. It will be September the 4th, probably right before we jump in the car to head to Huntington, because the Boilermakers will be playing on Sunday, September the 6th. So we'll look forward to that as well. Have a great off season. We'll see you in Ross-Ade Stadium, hopefully on April 18th, if not before. And we appreciate everything that everybody's done, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next year on Gold and Black Live.